Hello, I'm Steve Whysall, garden writer with the Vancouver Sun. I'm here today to talk about spring flowering bulbs. This is a time of year to plant them. We're in October, so this is the perfect time to plant the bulbs that are going to flower and produce wonderful blooms for you in spring. Now I want to talk to you today specifically about naturalizing bulbs that you plant once and they come back year after year. Okay, before you get to the job of planting bulbs, you need some equipment. You don't need a lot of equipment, so I picked out a couple of things. You need a bulb planter. There are a couple available. This one is the very basic kind. This one is a more interesting one. It actually has a quick release mechanism on it. You push it into the ground, it grabs the soil, you lift it out, press the button, it drops the soil back into the hole. This one is going to be very useful to you when you're planting larger bulbs like tulips and daffodils and camassias and alliums, things like that. For these smaller naturalizing bulbs, mostly they can be done with a little trowel or a dibber if you can find one. Now you're going to be on your knees a lot, so you might want to protect them with some knee pads. These are pretty inexpensive. You just strap them onto your knees, and as Rudyard Kipling said, half a gardener's work is done on his knees or her knees. So this is what you need, some knee pads. Okay, the most well-known and naturalizing bulb, of course, is the snowdrop, Galanthus. These are easy to plant. They come in small little packages. You can find the single snowdrop or the double snowdrop. They are nice to plant, particularly under maples, low lace leaf maples, because what happens is in the spring the maples are free of leaves, so the sun gets through and the snowdrops enjoy that full sun exposure. And then in the spring they leaf out, and in the summer they're protected. So these are really easy plants. You put them in just by pushing them into the ground. Now the next one, of course, very popular, is a crocus. Crocuses come in all kinds. There are actually more than one kind. There's snow crocuses, which are early blooming, and large flowered crocuses, which are, they bloom a little later. Now what I tend to recommend with these is that you take a lot of them and you throw them over your shoulder, and where they land in the random patterns where you plant them, and they'll look great on a lawn. If you plant them along a lawn, you can end up with a whole stream or a river of color in the spring. So crocuses are a great naturalizing bulb. You put them in the ground once and they come back year after year. Now another great bulb for naturalizing is the Scilla family, the bluebell family. Here you have English bluebells. These are the classic English bluebell. Mostly you'll find as well Spanish bluebells, and there's the Scilla, the squills. These are Siberian bluebells, and these are also very lovely naturalizing bulbs. Now my most favorite bulb of all, the one that I recommend, it's affordable, is Muscari, the grape hyacinths. Again, it's a beautiful blue. They're very affordable, and you can put them in great quantities, in clumps all the way through the garden, under shrubs, under trees, and throughout your perennial border. Okay, one of the very simple things about bulbs that we should all remember is how to plant them with the pointy side facing up. So every bulb has a bottom and a top, and the bottom is where you can obviously see where the roots are going to come out of this little Muscari grape hyacinth bulb, and there's the top, the pointy bit. When you're putting this in, that's the way it goes in the soil. You could plant it sideways and it will kind of come right, but basically that's the way to plant it. And about 3 times the height of the bulb. So this one would go a little shallower than this one. This one obviously will go deeper, being a bigger bulb. The bigger the bulb, the deeper it goes, is generally the rule. Okay, let's get to planting. Okay, so we're ready to plant our naturalizing bulbs, and the one I've chosen is this one, the Muscari, the grape hyacinth. A very popular, reliable bulb. It's going to make great colonies very quickly. The problem with planting at this time of year, particularly in coastal gardens, is that you have a lot of existing foliage still thriving, and you have to fight your way through it to get to your planting site. This is not like a bare site where you can just freely plant the bulbs in an open space. You really have to work through the foliage and find your places. So that's what we're doing. I've decided to plant some here because I know that in the spring there'll be nothing here, and this will be empty, and these bulbs will come up and look terrific. Now to do this, I've got my little kneeler here. I don't use it for saving my knees, and also I'm using a dibber. This is a tool for just making a little hole, which is what you need for these ordinary bulbs. And basically all I'm doing is making a hole with the dibber and putting the muscari into it, pushing it in as deep as I can and covering it over, and going around like that each way, and just in irregular patterns. These bulbs are really nice. You get so many of them for not very much, and you can just keep planting them in, pushing them into the ground. Another alternative way is to dig a hole, a shallow hole, place the bulbs in the arrangement you want, and then cover it over. But this is the way I prefer. You just work your way around, making a hole with the dibber. You can use a trowel if you don't have one of these, and push the bulb in. It should go about 3 times its height, but it doesn't really matter. It's going to pull itself down. As the roots go, the bulb will actually pull itself down into the soil a little deeper than you. So if you put them in now, they're going to be a little deeper by spring. I think by spring this little area here will be a mass of blue. It'll look very pretty.